Hello friends. In the midst of August 1947, two new countries were formed unsure of their future. One was destined to be a secular democratic republic because of its diverse features, whereas another would become an Islamic republic. Both became democracies, although Pakistan has been ruled by military dictatorship for most of the time. On the contrary, India grew to become one of the greatest democracies in the present world. But there was a dark period in Indian democracy also for 2 years from June 1975 to March 1977. Today, that is June 25th, marks the anniversary of emergency. Whenever an authoritative regime is seen anywhere in the country, we see that mentions of emergency are made. Today, when the steps that were taken before emergency are repeated, we say that emergency or an undeclared emergency has been imposed in our country. Emergency is a period which we should not forget, and we must not allow others to forget. As the quote goes, those who do not learn history are doomed to repeat it. Keeping this in mind, in today's video, let us have a look back on history. Let me narrate to you a story which is not told often. This is the story of a lady who, from being called Gungi Gudiya, started to be called Iron Lady. This is the story of the darkest period in Indian history. So let me narrate this story. I am Nihal Muhammad and you're watching The Upfront. In India, the emergency refers to a 21-month period from 1975 to 1977 when Prime Minister Indira Gandhi had a state of emergency declared across the country. Officially issued by President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed under Article 352 of the Constitution, because of the prevailing internal disturbance, the emergency was in effect from 25th June 1975 until its withdrawal on 21st March 1977. The order bestowed upon the Prime Minister the authority to rule by decree, allowing all elections to be cancelled and civil liberties to be suspended. For much of the emergency, most of Indira Gandhi's political opponents were imprisoned and the press was censored. Several other human rights violations were reported from the time, including a mass forced sterilization campaign spearheaded by Sanjay Gandhi, the Prime Minister's son. The emergency is one of the most controversial periods of independent India's history. During this period and in the period leading up to the emergency, the relationship between Indira Gandhi and dissent was like that of, yes, Kangana and Twitter. The only difference being Twitter suspends and Indira Gandhi sent everyone behind the bars. Every year, as the calendar reaches June 25th, many elders and seniors who went through this dark period may refresh their memories. This was a period that no one can forget very easily, a period that we should not forget that easily. On 25th June 1975, West Bengal CM and senior Congress leader Siddharth Shankar Ray was asked to come to the PM's residence immediately by Indira Gandhi's private secretary R.K. Dhawan. What he sees in the PM's residence is a tensed Indira Gandhi. There were many reasons behind this tense phase of Indira Gandhi. The major reasons behind this was the verdict given by the Supreme Court on the previous day in the Raj Narayan case and the daily anti-government protests led by JP. Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer on 24th June 1975 upheld the Allahabad High Court judgment in the Raj Narayan case, which we will talk about in detail in the later part of the video, and ordered all privileges Gandhi received as an MP be stopped and that she be debarred from voting. However, she was allowed to continue as Prime Minister pending the resolution of her appeal. Jayaprakash Narayan and Morarji Desai called for daily anti-government protests. This was the reason behind the tense phase of Indira Gandhi when she invited senior Congress leader Siddharth Shankar Ray to find a solution to this rising tension. After completing her law degree from Oxford, Indira Priyadarshini Gandhi returned to India in the early 1950s. She started her political career as the unofficial private secretary of the then Indian Prime Minister and Indira's father, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. She reached the parliament through a Rajya Sabha ticket. Later, she became a member of Lal Bahadur Shastri's cabinet as Minister of Information and Broadcasting. Back then, Ram Manohar Lohia called her Gungi Gudiya, a dumb doll, because of her silent nature. In the Congress Party's parliamentary leadership election held in 1966 upon the death of Lal Bahadur Shastri, she defeated her rival Morarji Desai to become the leader and thus succeeded Shastri as Prime Minister of India. The first electoral test for Gandhi was the 1967 general elections for the Lok Sabha and state assemblies. The Congress Party won a reduced majority in the Lok Sabha after these elections owing to widespread disenchantment over the rising prices of commodities, unemployment, economic stagnation and a food crisis. Following the 1967 elections, Gandhi gradually began to move towards socialist policies. In 1969, she fell out with senior Congress Party leaders over several issues. Chief among them was her decision to support V.V. Giri, the independent candidate, rather than the official Congress Party candidate Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy for the vacant position of President of India. The other was the announcement by the Prime Minister of bank nationalization without consulting the Finance Minister Morarji Desai. In 1969, she nationalized the 14 largest banks in India. These steps culminated in party president S. Nijalingappa expelled her from the party for indiscipline. Gandhi in turn floated her own faction of the Congress Party and managed to retain most of the Congress MPs on her side, with only 65 on the side of the Congress O faction. The Gandhi faction, called Congress R, lost its majority in the parliament but remained in power with the support of regional parties such as DMK. In 1971, Indira Gandhi secured a majority in the parliament, rallying behind her famous slogan, Garibi Hatao, eradicate poverty. Gandhi's biggest achievement following the 1971 election came in December 1971 with India's decisive victory over Pakistan in the Indo-Pakistani War that occurred in the last 2 weeks of the Bangladesh Liberation War, which led to the formation of independent Bangladesh. She was portrayed as Iron Lady by many. The positive result gained by the Green Revolution added to the fame of Indira Gandhi. In the elections held for state assemblies across India in March 1972, the Congress R swept to power in most states, riding on the post-war Indira wave. In 1974, D.K. Barra went one step ahead to say that India is Indira and Indira is India. 1973-74 was the period when anti-government protests began in various states ruled by the Congress due to rising unemployment. The most significant of the initial such movements was the Navnirman movement in Gujarat between December 1973 and March 1974. On 20th December 1973, students of LD College of Engineering, Ahmedabad went on strike in protest against a 20% hike in hostel food fees. The same type of strike was also organized on 3rd January 1974 at Gujarat University, resulted in clashes between police and students which provoked students across Gujarat. An indefinite strike started on 7th January in educational institutions. Their demands were related to food and education. Middle-class people and some factory workers also joined protests in Ahmedabad. They also attacked some ration shops. Students, lawyers and professors formed a committee later known as the Navnirman Yuvak Samiti to voice grievances and guide protests. Student unrest against the state's education minister ultimately forced the central government to dissolve the state legislature, leading to the resignation of the chief minister Chimanbai Patel and the imposition of president's rule. In March-April 1974, a student agitation by the Bihar Chhatra Sangharsh Samiti received the support of Gandhian socialist Jai Prakash Narayan, referred to as JP, against the Bihar movement. Emerging from his self-imposed exile of 20 years to lead the change that he felt India needed then, JP made the dramatic leap from being the bridge of conciliation between contesting forces to an advocate of total revolution. In June 1974, JP launched a large-scale agitation called Bihar Movement or Total Revolution, in which JP asked the students to give up 1 year of their studies and participate in the movement. Millions of protesters, including students and common man, inspired by JP, left their colleges and jobs to join the movement to build a new nation over the next 1 year. He also demanded the dissolution of the state government, but this was not accepted by the center. Opposition parties called a statewide strike from 1973. This resulted in police firing on strikers in Bhopal, the capital of Madhya Pradesh, causing the deaths of 8 students on 17th August 1973 owing to their participation in the JP movement. A silent student procession of 10,000 was held in Patna on 8th April. On 12th April, government opponents died in police firing at Gaya during the Paralyze the Government program. A month later, the Railway Employees Union, the largest union in the country, went on a nationwide railway strike. This strike was led by the firebrand trade union leader George Fernandes, who was the president of the All India Railwaymen's Federation. George Fernandes had a crucial role in organizing protests across India. He was multilingual. It was also said that Amitabh Bachchan copied his style in his movie Giraftar. He was also the president of the Socialist Party. The strike was brutally suppressed by the Indira Gandhi government, which arrested thousands of employees and drove their families out of their quarters. In a rally called by JP in May 1975 in Delhi, 1 lakh people joined and raised slogans of Janta ka dil bol raha hai, Indira ka aasan dol raha hai. The hearts of people are saying Indira's seat is shaking. Amidst all this came the judgment of Allahabad High Court in a case filed by Raj Naren. Raj Naren, who had been defeated in the 1971 parliamentary election by Indira Gandhi from the Rae-Bareli constituency, lodged cases of serious charges of election fraud and use of state machinery for election purposes against her in the Allahabad High Court. Indira Gandhi was also cross-examined in the High Court, which was the first such instance for an Indian Prime Minister. On 12 June 1975, Justice Jagmohan Lal Sinha of the Allahabad High Court found the Prime Minister guilty on the charge of misuse of government machinery for her election campaign. The court declared her election null and void and unseated her from her seat in the Lok Sabha. The court also banned her from contesting any election for an additional 6 years. Serious charges such as bribing voters and election malpractices were dropped, and she was held responsible for misusing government machinery and found guilty on charges such as using the state police to build a dais, availing herself of the services of a government officer, Yashpal Kapoor, during the elections before he had resigned from his position, and use of electricity from the state electricity department. Because the court unseated her on comparatively frivolous charges while she was acquitted on more serious charges, the Times described it as firing the Prime Minister for a traffic ticket. Indira Gandhi challenged the High Court's decision in the Supreme Court. She recommended President Varaha Venkatagiri to appoint A.N. Ray as the Chief Justice to get a favorable outcome in the case. JP opposed such a move in his letters to Indira Gandhi and called for her to resign. Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer on 24 June 1975 upheld the High Court judgment and ordered all privileges Gandhi received as an MP be stopped and that she be debarred from voting. However, she was allowed to continue as Prime Minister pending the resolution of her appeal. Jayaprakash Narayan and Moraji Desai called for daily anti-government protests. The next day, Jayaprakash Narayan organized a large rally in Delhi where he said that a police officer must reject the orders of the government if the order is immoral and unethical, as this was Mahatma Gandhi's motto during the freedom struggle. Such a statement was taken as a sign of inciting rebellion in the country. Later that day, on the advice of senior Congress leader and advisor Siddharth Shankar Ray, Indira Gandhi requested a compliant President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed to proclaim a state of emergency. It was Siddharth Shankar Ray who drafted a letter for the President to issue the proclamation and showed Indira Gandhi how democratic freedom could be suspended while remaining within the ambit of the Constitution. Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, who acted like a rubber stamp to Indira Gandhi, acted as he was required to by Indira Gandhi. Within 3 hours, the electricity to all major newspapers was cut and the political opposition was arrested. The proposal was sent without discussion with the Union Cabinet, who only learnt of it and ratified it the next morning. So this was how emergency was declared in India. These were the events that led up to the darkest period in Indian democracy. What happened after this was worse. Large-spread police violence on the protesters took place and thousands of them were put behind bars. Advocate J.P. Goyal, who fought the Raj Naren case against Indira Gandhi, wrote in his book saving India from saving Indira, there was no national emergency. It was only Srimati Indira Gandhi's own personal emergency. On 28 June 1975, the Indian Express, led by Ramnath Goenka, published a blank editorial in protest against the emergency. If you want me to make a separate video on what happened during the emergency, please tell it in the comment section, or you can reach out to us through any of our social media handles. If you like the content we provide, please subscribe to the Upfront and press the bell icon to get notification of all our recent updates. Please share our videos and educate others. Thank you.